Want the easiest way to get his commitment and the ring without being a bitch? Simple. All it takes is one magical spell. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm sorry. It looks like we've run out of magical spells. Well, here's the next best thing. Imagine 3 magical words that are so powerful, it got one of my coaching clients to go from heartbreak to engagement in just 7 days. That is a true story. And I've even published a book about it. In fact, she wasn't the only one. Is this black magic? Perhaps. But is it legal? Yes. But in case you're some magic-denying nincompoop, let me communicate to you via my human form. Oh, hi. My name is Renee. My husband and I have coached tens of thousands of women in dating and relationships for the last 15 years. And all jokes aside, we can help you get the ring and his commitment effortlessly fast. In this video, let me go through the 3 steps you need to get the ring and his commitment effortlessly fast. But here's something we first have to acknowledge. Men's trust in women is at an all-time low, and with the popularity of dating apps, true commitment from a man is not easy to find. Not to mention, men are different to us. They don't intuitively need commitment like we do, and therefore they don't really understand how important marriage is for us women.
Why do we even need to get married if I'm already committed?
On top of that, now there's all the MGTOW crew and the Red Pill bros actively warning other men to never marry or never be in a relationship. Cue the MGTOW patrol. But there is hope. There is a way to inspire your chosen man to give you the ring and his commitment and actually have him enjoy the process. In order for you as a woman to get the ring and the commitment that you want, you need to understand 3 important steps. Let's begin. Step number 1, you have to stop engaging in power struggles. Imagine power struggles as this imaginary rope tying you and your lover together. Every time you want to do something for yourself, it takes away from him wanting to do something for himself. This might just drive you mad after a while, because ultimately this is taking value from the both of you. Let's stop engaging in power struggles. Here's what you have to understand. A power struggle is a form of zero-sum games, whereby the more you get, the less your man gets, and vice versa. In other words, there's always a winner and always a loser, and so you're always trying to get more for yourself at the cost of the other person. That might be fine in a business relationship, but in a romantic relationship, it kind of kills the intimate part of the whole intimate relationship. The more your relationship is based on power struggles, the less trust in the relationship. And if a man can't trust you, it's going to make it very difficult for him to take the extremely high-risk action of signing a contract and getting the government involved in your personal life. Yes, I am talking about marriage. Look, I get it. Some of us have been so traumatized or conditioned to only operate from power struggles. If that's you, I understand. But also know that there is another level that you can operate from. Okay, step number 2, add enough value that it gets to the point of reciprocity. In order to get out of that power struggle, you have to learn to add value to your man and add value in ways that are perceived as value to him. Because it's not really value if only you perceive it to be value. That's probably worse than giving someone an unwanted or recycled Christmas gift. Let me ask you this. Can you get a man to commit to you and marry you out of pressure or coercion? It's a low percentage action, but yes, sometimes it works. But it doesn't mean that you should do it, because the very essence of pressuring him is to take value from him to get what you want in the short term. It is the very definition of a short-term strategy with a huge long-term cost. The cost here is that he's not going to trust you at the same depth. He's not going to want to add value back to you, and he may even start to build up resentment towards you. Remember that the more you take value from others, the more it inspires others to take value from you. It's called reciprocity. Plus, I've worked with enough women in the last 15 years to know that almost no healthy woman wants to get married to a man knowing that he only did it out of obligation or pressure. That just feels bad. Instead, make your relationship a place to go to add value rather than constantly taking value. Because as long as you're attuned and as long as you keep adding value, you'll get to the place where he's going to want to reciprocate back to you. That is when you know you're on the right track. By the way, if you keep adding value and he never reciprocates at all, then he might be a narcissist. That's a conversation for a different day, but that's something to always keep in mind. Stay away from narcissists because they don't really want to connect with you. They only want you as their supply. When a man is able to reciprocate, not just in superficial ways, but in very attuned ways, that's when you know that he wants to give back to you and he has the potential to commit deeply to you. And if you followed my work in the last 15 years at all, you'd have already heard me say that men don't fear commitment. They fear committing to the wrong woman. You are always the wrong woman if you keep taking value from him. Okay, step number 3. You have to express and embody your own feminine vulnerability in ways that he is able to understand. Here's why this is important. Men don't feel vulnerable in the way that you do. Don't just think of them as bigger, taller, or even hairier women. Think of men as a different species who are a foot taller, 5 times stronger, with skin 10 times thicker than us women. Okay, that's not quite scientifically accurate, but I want to paint a picture that you can understand. Some studies have shown that over 90% of women are incredibly afraid to walk down a dark alley, whereas less than 20 to 30% of men are equally as afraid. This is not social conditioning. This is an inbuilt bias. After all, as we all know, when men see red, bodies start dropping. That's a joke from a completely different corner of the web. Anyhow, men and women both experience social projection to some extent. This means we all think people of the opposite sex are like us most of the time. We women think that marriage is also value to men, and men think that dick pics are value to us. That's social projection. When was the last time you heard a man feeling so vulnerable and so desperate for marriage? Other than scammers, of course. Scammers are smart. They know which button to push to fool the women who believe men also see value in marriage and commitment. Now, I am not saying that there's no value at all in commitment for men. What I am saying is that they don't perceive nearly as much value in commitment as we women do. After all, who owns the womb? You, of course. All the men watching right now just got real quiet. Us women are the womb owners, and we need commitment in order to keep that womb protected at all costs. So, what am I saying here? I am saying that the majority of the time, men only propose for the sake of the woman and not for themselves, because they don't need it. So you need to communicate to men in a way that they will understand viscerally, and the way you do that is to embody your own feminine vulnerability. Now here's something to understand. Not all of us women are comfortable being completely vulnerable. And if that's you, it will take some time to get in touch with that part of yourself. Sometimes vulnerability isn't something that was encouraged in us while we were growing up. Perhaps growing up, you were a high achiever, and that part of you was reinforced through praise at the cost of other, more vulnerable parts of you. Or maybe you were bullied at a young age and you developed these hard outer shells because no one came to your aid. Sometimes you have to peel back those layers and get in touch with that part of you that is vulnerable. And yes, we all have that part to us. Get to know that vulnerable human being inside. That's going to help you infinitely in being able to express vulnerability with a man. I remember having this huge argument with David a long time ago in his beat up old car. We'd been together for many years at that point, and I was really ready to drop the girlfriend label. I'm sure you know what I mean. But no matter what I said, he had a rational reason why it wasn't the right time. Logically, I knew what he said was right, but it wouldn't change how I felt in my gut. And there was nothing I could say that could remotely get through to him, because ultimately he had a very strong sense of direction within himself. So there we were, silently sitting in his car with the hot afternoon sun shining through. We were on the verge of breaking up, and I started to cry. And as the tears were streaming down my face, I uttered 3 words that changed everything. It took getting to the point of almost breaking up in order for me to feel my own vulnerability enough to express it in these 3 words. And that was the moment that David understood my vulnerability as a woman, and his whole demeanor completely changed. Looking back, these 3 words perfectly encapsulated my feminine vulnerability in a way that men can understand. And it wasn't until that moment in the car that I realized I had never said those 3 words in front of David. And the moment that I said it, the tone of the whole conversation changed. It was no longer a rational and logical debate, but rather it became him wanting to solve this particular problem, all for my sake. In other words, he wanted to make it better for me because he could finally feel my sense of vulnerability. And 8 months later, he got me the ring. Yeah, I can barely get the ring on now because you know what they say. It's all fun and games until your metabolism slows right down. But here's the thing. I never fully appreciated the power of the 3 little words until I happened to actually teach them for the first time to one of my coaching clients. And get this, she literally got engaged in 7 days. I was floored, I was shocked, I was completely speechless. And I was over the moon for her. This is a true story, by the way. And guess what? She wasn't the only one. And that's when I realized there is some magic to these 3 words, because these 3 words are able to communicate your feminine vulnerability as a woman to a man without him getting defensive. Now, you might expect me to share with you what these 3 magical words are. Well, I wrote about it in this brand new book, 3 Magical Words to Get the Ring Effortlessly Fast. It's on sale right now, so go to 3magicalwords.com or click the link in the description to get all the deets. Shh, all the spells are inside. In case you're single, I've even got a couple of bonus classes to help you go from single to married in the next 12 months. Go and check it out. This is going to make the process of you getting the ring and his commitment so much faster and so much easier. All right, I am going to go and turn back into my witch doctor form. So if you need me to cast magic spells for you, I will be available after lunch. Oh, look at this book. 3 magical words to get the ring effortlessly fast. Click the link in the description or go to 3magicalwords.com. We've had so many women go through this book and they absolutely loved it. I promise you will too.